Sean, this tanker operation, first of all, it does show that Donald Trump's appetite for military action is not at all dimmed, certainly at the moment. How easy is it to do this? What would have been the British involvement?
Yeah, good evening, Mark. I mean, it won't have just been me that been struck by the fact that the Americans were pursuing this ship for 2 weeks, and the Bella 1 is a third of a kilometre long. It moves along at less than 10 miles an hour. You could run and keep up with it. So how does it evade the US military? Well, the harsh reality is boarding one of these things using a helicopter is incredibly difficult if the ship doesn't want you to board. It can be quite dangerous. You need a steady ship, you need the wind over the deck and the like. The other option, of course, is to come down a rope onto the vessel, and we've seen some video footage for one of the other vessels that was captured doing that. But again, these ships pitch and roll violently, and you do not want a very big ship coming up at you at pace if you're at the bottom of a rope ladder. I think, therefore, the other thing that was interesting from a military perspective is they changed the name of this vessel and the flag. It was a Guyanian, then it went to Russian. The reason they did that, obviously, that allows Russia to provide military protection for that vessel, and that's why we had a Russian submarine and apparently Russian craft around it, which would have meant it was a very sensitive military operation as well. We heard from John Healey that the UK had the Royal Fleet Auxiliary Tide Force, a replenishment ship. The US Navy would have been a long way from home, therefore replenishing, refuelling was invaluable, and almost certainly a Poseidon aircraft as well that provides some maritime patrol, which would have helped out the American operation.
Yeah, and quick word on Greenland. Why is Trump so keen to get hold of it?
Firstly, Mark, we've heard it from the US several times. This is not the first time the US has expressed an interest. Greenland is a massive, it's 9 times the size of UK. The US has occupied it in World War II when Denmark was overtaken by Nazi Germany, and they were very reluctant to leave then. There's 3 main reasons, really, why they're interested, one of which is early warning. Ballistic missiles from Russia would come over Greenland, and therefore they want to be able to track them. There's also polar orbits from the satellites. You need a tracking station, and that's why the military have got a base, Pawtucket Space Base there. The second reason is sea lines of communication up to the north of there's a North Sea route. This always used to be frozen solid, but now that's opening up. Makes a huge difference. It can halve the length of time that ships have to move around natural resources around, as you can see on the screen there. And the third one is mineral wealth. Uranium, rare earth metals, very difficult to extract, but invaluable. So what options the US got? Clearly 3. Negotiate. Denmark seems ready to do that. They're very happy for the US to put more military on board, but it does appear the US is concerned about the credibility and longevity of Denmark's ability to resist Russia and China advances. Buying it, we've heard the Americans talk about that. I mean, they've been trying that several times. 1946, America offered $100 million, about 1.3 billion, but was told in no uncertain terms it is not for sale. Third one is military, and of course the US already have a military presence on the island. There is no Greenland national security available. Denmark has a notional. So from a US perspective, it will be the minimum risk approach and would provide credible deterrence against China and Russia. Obviously, the downside is that almost certainly will be the death knell of NATO in its current form.